Welcome. Thank you for joining our Business Intelligence Practice Best Practice Series webinar. I'm Becky Melody, your hostess for today's presentation. Ramesh Shetty, USDM Senior Enterprise Business Intelligence Architect, will be presenting. The discussion today will cover introductions, webinar logistics, and our discussion topic, too many silos of data, inadequate systems for decision making. USDM is proud to have Ramesh presenting today. He offers 19 years of information technology experience in managing, implementing, and delivering business intelligence, data integration, web portals, web services, enterprise services, and desktop applications. Ramesh is responsible for the entire software applications executions on an Agile, StageGate, and Waterfall on various initiatives. In addition, he's worked through multiple change initiatives, including systems implementation, process efficiencies, and functional structures. He holds a Bachelor of Science, Master of Science, and an MBA from Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, Georgia. USDM is focused exclusively on the life science domain. We're the market leader in providing quality and regulatory IT compliance professional service solutions. We're headquartered in Santa Barbara, California, and we've delivered more than 1,000 successful projects with over 300 life science clients. We offer hands-on experience in assisting clients under regulatory distress, and we're a market leader for validation accelerator packs. Our various dedicated practices include IT and virtualization, GRC, laboratory, ECM, ERP, PLM, enterprise quality management, manufacturing automation and equipment, clinical and drug safety, business intelligence, of course, project management, and our quality and auditing practice. In addition, we have subject matter experts on board to support compliance in the nutraceutical industry. The content will be covered in approximately 30 minutes, and then we'll invite you to post questions for our team via the iLink message board on the lower left of your screen. Or you can join the discussion on LinkedIn. Our group posts there as well, and we can address any questions offline. Just shoot us a note to usdm@usdm.com. We'll be happy to address any pain points or continue discussion there. Thanks for taking the time to join us today, and now I'll turn the presentation over to Ramesh.
Thank you, Melody. Hello, everyone. My name is Ramesh Shetty. In today's webinar, I am talking about too many silos of data, which will lead the organizations to make inadequate decisions. If you look at the screen, the one I'm showing, it's a simple example and everybody can understand. So, example, the person is getting so many incomes, making money through the variety of incomes like job one, job two, working so hard, and he's lucky to make some money through the lottery, casino, stocks, so many rental incomes and other income. So the person has bag full of money, but if the person has an idea and the vision and the mission and the goal about what he's going to do with the money, how he can make this money keep growing, where he can invest. If you do the math to invest the money into the right place and making proper mathematical analysis about the investment, definitely this money will grow and he can live happily. That is the one of the strategic investor will do. If you look at the graph on this, the money is growing because of the best investment he has done through the calculation and the analysis about the market and the economy and all those things. If you look at the another graph at the top, so this is unplanned investor. The unplanned investor is not thinking about his future, he's not thinking about the goal or the vision about this money. He is just spending this money and burning like anything. And then one day he will realize, where is my money? Where did it go? This is the simple logic, right? This is every day we actually see this. In the next screen, you see exactly the similar technology, a similar concept, the one I just mentioned about where is my money. Look at on the left side, the blue boxes I mentioned here, the data sources. The organization, any kind of organization, whether it's a medium level, whether it's a very big corporation, the data will be flowing in to the organizations from many sources. Today, if you look at mainframe, ancillary, portals, web services, cloud, the mobile devices, and social media, so many places the data will be flowing into the organization. And plus, one is external data sources and the other one is internal data sources about employees, payroll, and employees' maintenance data. There are so many things flowing into the databases. If the company does not have the proper way to consolidate the data, then you will have the questions I listed here at the top. Why IT is expensive? Why our products are not in the profit, which we're doing very well? All these things will lead to the data. The data is the backbone of the organizations, right? If we are not focusing on our data, if we are not focusing on what we have to do with our data to serve the cloud services, for example, marketing apps. The marketing apps is for looking at the future market and targeting the right population for those products and what is happening with the product. And customer support apps, looking at what kind of customer we have, what kind of pain our customers have. All these things will lead to the data. Look at the manual process I mentioned in one of the orange box. Still, in many organizations, they are living with the manual process, which actually lead to so many kinds of issues. That's the one it shows here. Invalid data will actually lead into inadequate decisions. Let's move on to the next one. This is the place actually we are talking about too many silos of data. What is the too many silos of data is going to do with? The too many silos of data, just I mentioned about in the previous page, previous slide, if you don't know, if the organization doesn't know what they are going with the data, all kind of issues I mentioned in this main bullets as a high level, inadequate governance and non-comprehensive strategy. There are no governance, no standardization set up in the organization, non-comprehensive strategy. There is no complete strategy in the organization that lead to the data issue. The second bullet I mentioned about cultural conflicts and collaboration to adapt the change. There are cultural conflicts. The organizations are living with the old culture and they don't want to change their culture. And they don't want to collaborate between the departments and between the teams to adopt the latest change in the market to be competent. The third bullet I'm saying about the fragmented data lineage and misalignment in technology. Fragmented data, the data lineage is broken. They are not looking to identify where exactly it is broken to fix the lineage using all kind of misalignment technologies. Even though the technology is not that expensive to identify and fix all these things, they are living with the old legacy systems. That's why the fragmented data lineage, they're not looking into that. The next bullet I'm talking about, manual intervention in the data process. As I mentioned in the previous slide, today even in this technological field, the people are living with a manual process. They're not looking to change from the manual to automated process, the manual to the technology-oriented process. Spending too much time to process the key data. Instead of spending too much time to analyze and deliver the best quality of data. They are unnecessarily spending too much time to process the key data. The key data which is required to make a decision as soon as possible about visioning and dreaming and the goal about the product and the services of the organization. The key data is mainly important for such kind of decisions. Living with legacy systems and diverging on innovating. So many organizations are living with their legacy system because they are thinking, whenever we are doing business, our business is running as usual. They are not thinking about, are we being competent? The 5-year-old company, which is much more competent and delivering the best quality of products than the company is doing the same kind of products from 30 plus years. Diverging and innovating. They are not even worrying about innovating and be competent with the startup companies or the companies started very recently. They are doing very well. Whether they are on the cloud, whether they are on the big data, you need to be competent, start innovating. Those things, the silos of data, these are all the issues. On the next slide, we are continuing talking about the silos of data issue. Non-competitive in the silo. Just I mentioned about if you are not innovating, if you are not looking at in the market how you can be competent, how you can succeed and sell your products, how you can retain your customers. If you don't have all those things in the strategy, we are not going to be competitive. Too many decision layers and too many data sources. The company, as I mentioned in the previous slide, there is no governance, there is no standardization, there is no process, then too many decision layers. Everybody makes their own decision. Everybody is building their own thing. Everybody keeping the data on their own data sources. You can look at actually big organizations keeping the data with the systems are outdated. They are forcing the companies to support, for example, Microsoft Access, the one they are using 98 version. They are forcing Microsoft to support because they don't want to change. And the next bullet I'm saying about no single source of truth and data scattered everywhere. The data, which is the most important data they may need for decision making, it's scattered anywhere, everywhere. And they don't know which data is a single source of truth. Individual view and their own objects. Everybody in the organization as a lead, they have their own view of identifying the data. Broken security and BI strategy. Broken security in the sense they're not even worrying about what kind of data we need to encrypt, decrypt, identify, de-identify, how we can actually make this data available for the BI to strategize for the future decisions or anything. The most important bullet in the last one here is right data for right applications for the right decision. If you don't have right data which to present through the right application for right decision, the organization will make bad decision. The organization doesn't know it made the bad decision till they come to know about losing the revenue or disappearing on the ecosystem. It's most important, right data for right applications for the right decision to be competent and stay in the market. So you can see too many silos of data which lead to so many organizations. You can see even today, they are losing the revenue and disappeared from the ecosystem because of this depraved data strategy. If they don't have proper strategy about keeping their data in the right place, this happens. They will disappear from the ecosystem. They lose the revenue. The products they might be selling for undervalue, and the products might be selling to the customers with poor quality. There are so many things. The customers will move to a different company because the similar products sold with a better quality. We have to be competent in the market, right? Next bullet, it says too much money spending for redundant software, resources, and infrastructure. Most of the organization you see, they are spending so much money for the software they don't even use. They are sitting idle. They bought it for some reason. They never used it. They never even opened to use those software applications, resources and infrastructure. They actually have the infrastructure, additional infrastructure. They bought it. They forgot to use it. And some of the resources they hired and thinking like one day I may need these people when I have disaster or recovery. All these things, wasting money. Not focusing on big data, SOA, SLA, and leverage to cloud. This is the one I'm talking about, being competent in the latest market, using the latest technology like big data to perform the data sets better, to deliver the data on the right time through OLTP, OLAP, whatever the applications we are providing through. SOA, we should be able to consume through SOA, connecting with other data services, other web services, whether they are on the cloud, whether they are on the somewhere on the public domain. There is an inadequate commonality and canonical. What I mean by commonality and canonical, so when the organization has similar products developed for other departments, we need to actually try to reuse those products, build a commonality to reuse those products instead of spending money again to rebuild the products. Canonical, you should be able to communicate, building a layer. Today, the most important thing is XML, right? You can actually communicate with any kind of applications to anywhere in the world through canonical layers. The last bullet, invalid data integrity and recovery processes lead to a disaster recovery nightmares. If you don't have a proper process, if the organization does not have a proper process to recover the data, for example, whatever the backup has been taken days ago or weeks ago, if we don't know the process to recover that, to make that particular system available for our customers in no time, that is the best process. So many organizations, they don't do all this process. They end up with nightmares that I have seen. So no backup strategy, no replication strategy, all these things will lead to unsatisfied stakeholders, unsatisfied customers. Customers will leave the organization as long as they're not getting anything what they are paying for, right? So whatever we explained about too many silos of data lead to all kind of data issues if we are not doing the right process and the right standardization. So that's where the solution is here, harmonized data for decision making. Make sure you harmonize the data for any kind of decision making, whether it's a marketing decision, whether it is an organizational decision for resources or infrastructure or IT, or any kind of future decision to being competent in the market. Means the left side, I displayed about data source 1, source 2, n number of data sources. The data can be coming from mainframe. The data can be coming from other RDBMS files. The data can be coming from Excel. All kind of variety of data coming from variety of sources. And you place the data in the hub, in the centralized hub I'm talking about here. Then there, harmonize the data based on which applications required, what kind of data. Instead of dumping everything to that application, make that application impossible to use. Do the proper strategy, analyze and see which one is most important that makes sense for this particular application. So you can feed every application, all the downstream applications or the services or any kind of components from the centralized hub. This is the suggestion we are telling you guys. Use this harmonization. The same way we are continuing to give the solution and the suggestion about identify the better business insight. That means, as I said before, identify which data makes more sense for this particular product, this particular application. Instead of dumping everything, send the right information to the right application to make the right decision. The next one, build a reference data layer for transaction and analytical. For transactional, nothing but OLTP applications, the shopping carts, online applications. They need the data pretty quickly, whatever the customer is looking for. Analytical applications in the sense for any kind of history of the decision making about what organization is doing good, which organization is performing better, which organization is underperforming. Something like all these things you can find out in analytical. You need to make a decision which one I need to analyze and where I should focus on and what kind of data is required for transaction analytical purpose. The next one, the big data concepts for structured and unstructured. When you talk about the big data, first you need to understand what data I need to keep in big data, what data I need to keep in outside of the big data. If you keep the unstructured data, unstructured nothing but all the images, the big files, okay? If you keep all these things in the unstructured system, which is a file system or somewhere, instead of keeping them in the big data memory, you will get a better performance, right? The applications will get better performance for the structured data. Unstructured data, you need to read from somewhere else. Instead of making the system to slow perform, we need to analyze where we have to keep what data. Aggregated for better outcomes for decision. Some of the data required to aggregate, so that lead to the better decisions. In the sense, we need to summarize the data to making sure what data can be delivered for the decision making. The next bullet I'm talking about right technology for ETL, data warehouse, SOA, and services. If you are not using the right technology for doing extract, transform, load for ETL process and the data warehouse and the SOA and all these things, if you are using some kind of technology which will be underperforming, and the customers will be very unhappy about using those products. They will move on. They will move to some other customers. Data will be optimized for fast access and analytical reporting. You need to make sure why you're actually providing this data. The data, whatever you are providing and whatever the application, that should perform much faster through analytical reporting. Data structures highly summarized to satisfy specific analytical functions. What I mean by this is some of the analytical functions, the drill down or drill through or slice and dice, whatever the way we are providing the data through analytical application, through the graphs and the charts, scorecards and all those things, the dashboards and all those things, we need to make sure some of the data should be summarized in the summary tables, the pre-aggregated tables, so then the users can quickly read them just like a OLAP cube and present it through the portal or through any kind of web services. So the solution again is single source of truth. Single source of truth is nothing but make sure you govern the data and build the proper strategies, corporate strategy, IT strategies, IT governance, corporate governance, the reference layers, and metadata and the hub we talked about before. The metadata which is most important for the business lineage and also the technology lineage, which helps a lot. Remove redundant systems and maintain global data hub. The systems are not required, which are duplicate. Just remove them instead of supporting and wasting money, and keep everything as a global data hub. That means, for example, organization has 30 departments. Instead of keeping the data in 30 different hubs, keep them in the only one global hub. All 30 departments can see the same data, same single source of truth, instead of everybody have their own copy of the data, which leads to the bad decision. Business and technical metadata for audit and lineage, which is most important, right, for auditing and also lineage, where our data is, where it is coming from, where it is going. maximize the productivity, reduce the cost, and increase the profitability. This is everyone's dream in the organization. Maximize the productivity, reduce the cost, and increase the profitability. This is our goal. If you have this kind of goal, so then our data is most important to deliver this kind of features. Critical information for rapid and effective decision making. Find out which data is most important for decision making and provide the data as a subset instead of providing everything in the data warehouse. Provide the data as a subset, just like a simple data mart or simple pre-aggregated tables or summarized tables, or keep everything in the big data in the memory, just like HANA. Simplify operational process and reduce redundancy. The operational process simplify in the means of identify which process I can reduce. So that will actually increase the profit and increase the quality of that process. Innovative BI governance and the strategy. For BI is the most important. If the strategy is not set in the proper and in the foundation level for the data, the BI can just deliver the data, right, to make the decision. If the data itself is wrong, the strategy is totally wrong. Support current and future state of BI capabilities. That means look at the current, look at the future, where you want to be in few years, and fix those capabilities based on that to lead in that roadmap on the BI strategy. The BI strategy will resolve known data integrity and quality. That's true, right? The BI is the most important system. That is the one actually give the permission to make the decision. BI function in achieving, maintaining, and communicating a single version of the truth. If we keep the data in the single version of the truth like MDM or the data services, then the BI can read from there and provide the right information for the people to make a right decision. Metadata lineage for business and technology initiatives, the one I talked about. For the business, they need to understand the metadata lineage, where the data is coming from, who is pushing the data. For technology perspective, we need to look at how we build this data, how we are massaging, how we are profiling, and what kind of data quality built behind that, and what kind of logics and the strategies apply to this data and how we are delivering that. That shows all the lineage. The simple diagram I'm showing here for leverage data through the cloud. So everybody should have, the organization should focus on just like intranet and internet. They have to focus on their private cloud and make sure the private cloud functions very well to provide the big data and for BI analytics and the OLAP and the OLTP for other analytics, and also for the services like web services and other things. And connect with the public cloud. The public cloud in the sense for some of the customers, they want to just read some information about something. They don't need to come to the local private cloud, and which actually is pretty expensive to send the data back and forth, right? So we can keep the most important information for high-level customers who are looking for quickly grab the data and perform whatever they need. Keep those things in the public cloud and make sure the proper security and the layers built between private and public cloud, which lead to the customers to access the data from these two environments. This is most important, the cloud, right? Leverage data through cloud, the one we actually showed before about the diagram. So it shows here, standardize the private cloud. Make sure, standardize the private cloud about the security and the standardization and how the users are going to see the data, what data they will see, and what kind of sensitive data they can see, and how you can encrypt the sensitive data. The whole yard actually you need to do it. Private point-to-point to public. That means point-to-point connection between private and public. When you actually point-to-point, you make sure third party can actually steal your data. Should not, right? If you build a proper security strategy, nobody can break the security to steal the data. Strategize web services and data services serve as quickly as possible. What I mean here is If somebody needs data pretty quickly in the real time, provide the data services. They are so cheap and so simple to build instead of going through the whole ETL process, which costs so much to implement it. Maintain taxonomic, canonical, haddock services with sisters, partners, and customers. What I mean here is like build a proper canonical layer. Haddock, whatever the data required for some organization, your sister companies, provide only such kind of data to that sister company instead of dumping everything. Process the data in the memory and in big data layers. That means whatever we talked before about some big data, structured and unstructured. Structured data, keep it in the memory where the users can quickly grab it and process it. Leverage BI through the cloud. We are continue talking about the BI. Strategize all BI services collaborating with the public. Whatever the public cloud or the public required, strategize those data. Leverage data for the vision of marketing. That's the deal, right? To making sure our products can market much quicker than our competitors. Making sure. Consolidate reports to deliver easiest way to analyze. When we actually build our BI reports, we need to make sure the decision maker can look at the reports pretty quickly. Business users or anybody can look at the reports pretty quickly to understand and what they are looking for. We should not make them miserable when we develop something and deliver something. Standardize the operational data render from the cloud. It's the same thing what we talked about before. Standardize whatever we read from the cloud. Big data concepts to deliver slice and dice, haddock, and all those things. So when you actually slice and dice, drill down, drill up, drill through, all these things actually happens within the cube of the memory, right? So when the user or anybody is actually processing to find the right data pretty quickly, they should get it as quickly as possible, right? The person should not click on that and go for lunch and come back. That's not the one the people are looking for. Leverage BI through big data. Same as leverage the data through the cloud. The big data today, the big data is most important because every BI applications, every reporting applications, the people are struggling to get their data. It takes tons of time. When the big data set, like terabytes, so many terabytes of data is sitting there, they don't know how to organize the data to pull the right thing. So that's a nightmare. Pull some of the stuff out of data warehouse and enterprise data warehouse to big data concepts. Best way to deliver unstructured data and files. Identify the unstructured files or unstructured images should not stay in the memory. Right tools, resources, security layers. Whenever actually you start the process of building something, make sure you have the right tools, you have the right resources, and you are building with the proper security layers. Delivering valuable BI objects would be the goal. That is the goal, right? Delivering the right thing, the goal. Big data for big data sets. Don't think about keeping the small things in the big data concepts because the big data concept is very expensive to build, right? So use only the important things in the big data where actually push them into the memory or into the files. That's all. Thank you so much. So we are in the questions. Melody will take the questions.
Thank you, Ramesh. Appreciate that. As Ramesh mentioned, we will open the floor to questions now. And while you're typing in your questions, I'd like to let you know that this webinar has been recorded and will be available on our website, which is, of course, USDM.com. Looks like our first question is from Tom, and it's typing, let's see, what process will help to deliver right information to decision makers through BI and how?
That's a pretty good question, Tom. Thank you for asking. So the main thing actually I mentioned in one of the slides about the process, the main processes are governing, the strategizing, standardization, reference architecture, cloud, and big data approach. All these things will help to consolidate the process to provide the right information. If you have the standard governance process to keep the data into the right place and deliver the right data to the right applications, and standardize an organization level instead of department level, build the strategy for the organization level instead of individual level, create an MDM layer for a single source of truth, and keep the local cloud and the public cloud connected each other to deliver the right information to the right applications or the services, and follow the big data approach. All these processes definitely will help you to consolidate your data to deliver the right process to make the right decision. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, Ramesh. Tom says, yes, thank you. Wonderful. Okay, next question is from Aditya. How to build data correlation when data is flowing from many resources?
Thank you. That's also a very nice question. You know, when the data is actually flowing from many sources, so the one we have seen in our second or third slide with many data boxes, the data is coming from many places. You don't know, like mainframe, so many places the data is coming from. When you're actually getting the data from many places, when you actually keep the data in the central hub, you need to process and analyze the data to making sure build the single source of truth for each domain. For example, if you have customers, the customer name is Bob in one record and Robert in other record, but it's the same person. If you look at his date of birth, look at his history about the address and everything, he's the same person, but we are treating him as two different individuals, right? So as long as we are not going to fix this data, we will be leading with two different persons of Bob and Robert. So we need to fix this. To fix this, we need to find the single source of truth, profile it, data quality apply, and implement all this process and make this guy as a single person. Even though he's coming from two different sources, one source they collected as a Bob, another source collected as a Robert. Finally, in our system, he will be ending up with Robert. So that is the way actually we need to make the whole data consolidate as a single source of truth for transactional purpose and also for analytical purpose. I hope I answered your questions.
Very good. Thank you, Ramesh. And with that, I believe we'll wrap up. Thank you to those of you who are typing compliments and thanks there into the chat room. We certainly appreciate that. I would encourage you to visit the USDM website and review our upcoming webinar events, as well as the multiple recorded sessions that you can find on the website under the webinar page for previously presented topics across the various practices. If you have a moment, please take a look at the group discussion forum on LinkedIn, the USDM group page, and you can stay up to date with upcoming events and presentations there as well. Let us know your thoughts around today's presentations and others that you've attended. Give us a little feedback and suggestions. We're certainly open to addressing topics that would be most helpful for you. And we want to thank you again, Ramesh, for presenting today. Thanks, everybody, for taking the time to join us. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to team with you in working towards excellence and compliance. Have a wonderful day.